Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Now if you're like me and you're starting to feel sick, tired and frankly borderline depressed by the price of model train stuff these days, then hopefully this video is going to be for you. I have scoured the internet, I have found what I think are some of the best bargains and deals for locos and rolling stock available at the moment, and today I'm going to share them with you and more importantly show you where you can find them. And what makes all of this worse, of course, is sometimes retailers say bargain, and you'll go and look and you'll think this isn't a bargain. For example, look at this, the A2/3 for 210 quid. Yeah, that's not a bargain. It's slightly less insulting than the prices these models are normally sold at, but still not a bargain. So I'm not including rubbish like that in today's video. The purpose of this video is not to blow smoke up the backsides of the retailers or the manufacturers. If it's not an actual bargain, if the model's a bit crap, it's not going into this video. I want this to be a serious look at the really good deals that are available. So I'm splitting this video into three different categories: steam locomotives, diesel and electric locomotives, and rolling stock. So if you're looking for something specific, use the chapters down below and you can skip ahead. For now though, let's get started with steam. I will include affiliate links where possible, but I'm not just using the websites I'm affiliated with, I'm using as many websites as I possibly can. So let's jump in with steam locos. So one of the locos everybody wants to own is a Hornby Mallard, and this is the railroad version, which is the basic, slightly simpler, less detailed version. And over recent years these have crept way over the £100 mark, which is a real pity for a basic model, but recently I noticed at one retailer they have dropped back below the £100 mark again, and that was at Rails of Sheffield. This model should be £149.99 at its full price, and it's now £99.95. So this of course is a really iconic loco. It's suitable for beginners, everybody's heard of it. It's not a particularly high quality or high detailed model, but it is a good model on the whole, and for less than £100 that is very much the right price. So there you go, Mallard. The other world's most famous steam locomotive, at least in my opinion, is Flying Scotsman. And again, the railroad version of this is too expensive these days, but at TMC you can get this model, the railroad model, complete with sound, that is TTS sound, for £112. So that's only £12 more than Mallard, and this has sound. The full price for this thing should be £199.99, which is daft. I wouldn't recommend spending that. But for £112, that is definitely a bargain. Again, it's a basic model, it's quite limited in its level of detail, but it looks great, it runs well, and the sound is quite effective as well. If you're interested in this, go and check that one out. Next, we have the Hornby Lord Nelson class, and I've reviewed one of these recently, so check it out if you want to. It's a Southern Railway locomotive, so Southern region. It's a relatively new tooling, so it's very, very detailed, bang up to date, good runner as well, as you can see, looks beautiful hauling a train. But at the full price it's £224.99, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's quite a lightweight loco, it's mostly made of plastic. Don't ever pay anything close to that, and thanks to Rails again, you haven't got to. Look at this, you can get this version for £99.95. Absolutely insane. That's sort of way better than half price, isn't it? And if you want the malachite green, which is, I think a slightly more desirable livery, this one's not quite as cheap at Rails, but it's still 42% off and £129.50. So you're still saving the best part of £100 with that. So that again is a real bargain, particularly the one again that is below £100. It's not the sort of deal you see very often. Oh, I feel like a salesman. This is not a sales pitch. Do your research, find out what loco is right for you, and make a purchase if it's right. I'm not forcing anybody's hand here, but that is a very good deal. Okay, another one is the Rapido Jones Goods. So this is a brand new model. This only came out this year, and it is an amazing model. It is beautifully detailed. It's got loads of features. It runs great, but it was crazily expensive. And that for me was one of the biggest downsides of that model. And I think I said in my review, hopefully the prices will drop one day. And now, only 9 months or so following their release, they have started to. At lots of retailers now, the price for the remaining Jones Goods engines has started to come down quite massively. So this has happened at a lot of retailers. Do shop around, but look at this one I found. So this is the LMS Black version, and at Kerno they have this for £131.97. Now with a full price of £219.95 and a Loco that is less than a year old at this point, that is a very good deal. That's 40% off. I couldn't find this any cheaper anywhere else. It is just the LMS Black version. Other liveries are still more expensive, but if you really wanted one of these and you couldn't justify it at the normal prices, that is a very good one to look out for. Another really popular Loco is Hornby's Turbo Motive. Again, I reviewed this model. It was amazing. It was mostly made of metal, a very, very impressive model. But now the prices are just insane. In fact, they've been going up since I reviewed it. So now the RRP is £294.99, which is just bonkers. I don't even understand what's going on at the moment. At this point, they might as well just charge £1,000 RRP. That is how laughably ludicrous the prices of these are now. But obviously, you don't have to pay £300 for this, because once again, Kerno have got our backs with this. So the BR Black version is now 50% off at £147.19. And that is a lot more like it. Obviously, this is a large engine. It's mostly made of metal. It's got working lights. That suddenly seems a lot better. It is the BR Black version, which I guess is a little less popular, but still, it's a turbo motive, which is really awesome. They've also got 50% off the sound fitted version too, with HM7000, so you can control it with your phone. This is just £23 more at £169.99. So £23 for a Bluetooth sound decoder. That's very good, and of course you're saving £170 there off the RRP. So if you've wanted a turbo motive but have been quite rightly put off by the insulting prices, that's a good one for you. Turbo motive, half price. Finally, in the Steam category then, I'm going to show you one that has not been sort of massively reduced and discounted. It's a Loco that I consider to be a bargain, even at its full price. And it is, of course, the Oxford Rail J26. I'm hoping to have a review of one of these coming soon. I have reviewed the J27, so I can speak for what a good model this is. Very nicely detailed, nothing massively fancy or anything, but all the basics are right. They are nicely made. And from what I've seen of the J26s, these are even more nicely made. And the price at the retailers is £110. All sorts of different liveries available, LNER, BR, and even an NER version. For an 060 tender Loco, that is unbelievably inexpensive. So I think that one is worth a look. I'll be very surprised if these stay in stock forever. I think people are going to see those prices and buy them. So if it's something that you're not aware of or you're thinking of putting it off, I would go for it. I can't see these still being around in, let's say, 2 years' time. Amazing value from Oxford Rail. Let's move on to the next section then, diesel locomotives. And the thing I would say about finding bargain diesels is just go and look for them. There are loads of great deals to be had here. I think it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking any cheap diesel I find is just going to be something basic like your Hornby Railroad diesels. It's not the case. I have found loads of bargain diesel and electrics as well, which have the detail, they've got the quality mechanisms, and for much better prices than their normal prices. The first one I'm going to cover though is a basic one. It is from the Hornby Railroad range, but it is an incredible deal, and it can be found directly from Hornby themselves. So it is this, it's the Hornby Railroad HST, that's the Class 43, and it is a Grand Central livery bundle, which comes with the power cars and 5 coaches for £216.47. That is £30 per vehicle, including the locomotive. Absolutely bonkers, and I'm really pleased to see this one, because when this first came out, when it first got announced, I was kind of low-key angry at the prices. I thought for a railroad set of models, this is way too expensive. So to see them frittered away for £30 each really felt good to me, quite honestly. So yeah, for just over £200, that is a 7-car set. That is a real bargain, one that you probably won't find elsewhere. The next one then is another Hornby train pack, but this time it is the EWS Business Train Pack. And as you can see at the full price on hornby.com, this costs £329.99, which isn't that great, is it? We've got the locomotive here and only 3 coaches. That's not such a great deal, I don't think. But look at this at TMC. We have this entire pack for £189.99. So that works out that the loco itself is £100 and each coach works out at about £30. Now this loco is a seriously detailed model. I don't have my review out yet, but I have reviewed one. The Hornby 67 is pretty darn fantastic for £100. I mean, look at the price the thing is normally. £100 for that and just £30 a piece for the coaches, that is really something quite special. So that is a train pack. Go and check it out if you're interested in maybe bundling a loco and some rolling stock together. If you want to buy it all at the same time, you can save a lot of money with that one. The next one is this. This is the Bully Booster, a really interesting loco actually, and not one that you'd expect to see in the bargain bins. And what makes this one good is that it was a decent model. I thought it was pretty good and it wasn't that expensive to begin with. So now that they've been reduced in price, they are super affordable. So here's where I found them. I found these at Rails, and both the Southern Grey and the BR Blue versions are 46% off. So they should be £184.95 each, that's the RRP, and now they are £99.50 each. So this is another model that we've seen drop below the £100 mark. That's rarer and rarer these days. And like I say, they've got a good level of detail. If you get one that's not faulty, it will run nicely, as mine did. And like I said as well, this is a unique engine. It's quite rare to find obscure models like this at such low prices. So yeah, that's one to look out for. So here's a bargain that's been around for a long time, but it's worth mentioning, I think. If you're looking for a small diesel shunter, I think there's a good deal that you can have from Hornby. So these are not massively expensive in the first place. They cost £119.99 at the full RRP. But at Rails, we have this version, the Manchester Ship Canal, which is 50% off. So you can get that for less than £60 now, £59.50. And then there's also this Pride of Fens one in yellow. Again, should be £119.99. This is not quite as cheap, but it's still £69.50, so it's a pretty nice price still. Other examples are reduced too, although not quite as much as the Manchester Ship Canal and the Pride of Fens version. And these are not bad models. They're not the greatest, most detailed shunters in the world. They don't have lighting or anything like that, but they're well detailed, they're serviceable enough, they run quite nicely. For less than £60 at the lowest, this is worth a look, I would say. Okay, next up we have another surprise. Is it really a surprise? I don't know. It's a new tooled locomotive by Bachmann. It is the Class 47. Now I've reviewed one of these and I found that they were a little too expensive for what they were, as per usual with Bachmann. And I hoped that they would come down in price at the retailers, and indeed they have. So at the full price, these cost £254.95. That's for the weathered version. It's too much money, Bachmann. I suspected as much, and it turns out that was quite right, because now the prices have plummeted. So now you can get the weathered version in the Freightliner Grey here for £124.50 at Rails. Absolutely amazing, and there are others that are much cheaper as well, not quite as cheap as that, but let's say you want an unweathered version in the Tinsley Traction Depot Grey. £149.95. For a relatively new tooled diesel, that is quite compelling. So yes, the 47s have come down in price. For 150 odd quid, you can get a very modern and detailed diesel Loco. And much the same thing has happened with the Bachmann Class 37, which again brings me joy. They managed to make their 37 more expensive than Acura scales, and in my opinion, they delivered less than Acura scales. So really nice to see that these haven't sold and have now come down to a more reasonable price. So again, the Bachmann Class 37 should cost £244.96, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? But the BR Rail Freight Grey version is now down to £148.50 at TMC. That is 39% off from the RRP. And these are decent models as well. They're not worth 250 odd quid, that's stupid, but for 150, that's a lot better. And they've got a couple of them around that price as well. So again, shop around. If you want a Bachmann Class 37, now is a good time to at least look. So at the start of this video, I said that I'd only be including models that are good. And as such, I've not included many Helgen models in this video because most of them I don't consider are very good. But there is one Helgen Loco that I was relatively impressed with when I reviewed it, and that is the Great Western AEC railcar. Not a bad model at all, really. The RRP made me angry, as they often do, £234. But now you don't have to pay that anymore. At Rails, certain versions are now available for £124.50. Not only is this the right price, it's a bargain. So that is 46% off on the BR Crimson version. There's 44% off on the Great Western Chocolate and Cream. You wouldn't expect to see the Great Western livery reduced so much, but even that is £129.50 at Rails. Still a bargain. Others reduced quite heavily as well, so again, go and check these out if you like. Mine cost me £160, and that was quite a few years ago. So less than £130 for the Helgen railcar. At last, these are priced sensibly. Finally then, let's move on to rolling stock. Now obviously rolling stock is a massive, massive category. There are thousands of items of rolling stock out there and lots of them have been discounted. So I would urge you to go on a little surf of the web, see what you can find, but I have picked out some particularly good bargains for you for this video. So back in 2021, I reviewed Hornby's then brand new 4 and 6 wheel coaches. And these are pretty but very basic coaches. They are essentially just Hornby railroad grade, maybe with a smidge of extra detail. And back in 2021, I paid £27 each for these. Unfortunately though, since then, the prices for these very basic coaches have crept up, so that now, at the full price at least, these are nearly £40 each, which is just insane. But recently, I found these available from Model Railways Direct for £20 each. And it's not just the brakes either, there's a good selection of the LSWR coaches, 20 quid each. That is a lot more like it. There are some others that are this price as well, so the BR 6-wheelers, again 20 quid with a small selection of others. So if you're sick to your stomach at the prospect of spending nearly £40 on one of these very basic coaches, Model Railways Direct have cut that price in half for you. That is very good. Next we have Bachmann's SECR Dance Hall Brake Van. The full RRP for this model is £49.95, and once again in my review I concluded this model was not worth that money. It was quite plasticky, it was very light on features. 50 quid for such a brake van is ridiculous. And I often say in reviews like that, don't buy these things now, just wait, the prices will come down, and again they have. So if you fancy a dance hall brake van, head over to TMC where they have dozens of these things left over with their prices slashed, many of them by more than 50%, which I think serves Bachmann right for being so greedy with the prices of these in the first place. I paid £42.95 for mine, which is crazy. But now that they've been sold for as little as £22.99 each, these models have now been devalued so that nobody will be willing to pay this kind of money for these brake vans ever again, which I think is a very good job. So if you want the dancehall brake van, now's a good time to get one. Up next we have this, the EFE Rail LSWR Cross Country 3-coach train pack in Southern Green. As you can see, the full price for just 3 coaches is a silly £224.95, which works out at about £75 per coach. So I don't know what planet they're from, but I don't think it's this one. If you too were insulted by that price, you might be interested to see this at Rails of Sheffield, 51% off. The pack is now £109.50, making it £36.50 per coach. That is a lot more like it. And hopefully that is lesson learned for pricing coaches like that. Crikey. Next up we have another piece of EFE Rail rolling stock. It is this, their LSWR goods van. Now this is a decent model, but I thought that it was too expensive at £29.95. It's a relatively simple model, again it's light on features, that was too much. Now though, a few of them are down to more like £20, including this one at £19.50, that is 34% off at Rails. I think finally that is the right price for one of these vans. They're modern, they're nicely detailed, they work properly. For 20 quid, this is now in bargain territory, much better than 30 quid. Finally then, we have Hornby's Coronation coaches. Up until now, I have avoided these because of the price, £66.98. Now they look like amazing coaches, but at nearly £70, I did decide to give these a miss. At Model Railways Direct though, much of the range is now 45% off at around £36.84, something like that. For once again brand new coaches, which we know have a lot of detail, that is a much better price. So if you wanted those Coronation coaches but you held off because of the price, Model Railways Direct is worth looking at. Alright then folks, well that's it. That's all I've got for this video, but what I would say is don't be disheartened by the price of model railway stuff. If you think things are too expensive, chances are other customers will agree with you, and if we all vote with our wallets, if we all hold off until the prices come down, then things like the bargains we've seen in this video will happen more and more often. If we keep paying the high prices, then prices will continue to rise. So it's really good to see bargains like this cropping up. Also, obviously, I've not been able to cover every bargain in this video, so if you are aware of a particularly good one, pop it down in the comments, let people know about it, and if you're looking for a bargain, check out the comments and see what people have put down there. Hopefully we can sort of get a good conversation going and really find some good stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in any of these models, I've got links down in the description where possible. Happy bargain hunting, and hopefully you found this video useful. Alright, cheers folks, you take care.